I've got a bit of a sweet treat to finish with. Terrible, but I'm really sorry. I've got Karyn Aviani, who's a master cake baker and owner of Chocoholic, and you've been running for 7 years now.
7 years.
Yeah. Over to you.
Thank you. So first of all, thank you very much. Does everyone hear me? I haven't spoken in public in a while. Thank you very much to Ambrose for inviting me. Something that happened yesterday, I was on Facebook and one of these memes popped up and everyone I know started sharing it. And it basically said something like, work like you don't have children and raise children like you don't work. All of my female friends started sharing it and talking about how their lives are like spinning plates and nobody is getting enough. But actually, I was really proud to see that because I feel that with self-employment, it's something that I achieved. So just a brief bit of background. I have a BA in English literature, which I got in my 20s, but I got married quite young, and because my ex-husband is a number of years older than me and has a PhD, which he started around the time we met, his career was always going to come first. And we just had to follow wherever his career took him, which is how I ended up in the UK, how he ended up in the UK. I had 2 small children, and then I never had a career. I never had any kind of profession. I worked in admin. I worked in retail. I was a cashier in a supermarket when my children were of preschool age. Came to Leicester and got a master's degree in the geography department, which I unfortunately never used. So I've got a degree in geographical information systems. And the geography department in Leicester takes a lot of pride in this program because it is across the board 100% guaranteed employment within 6 months. The key being if you're single and you can move to a different city. I graduated heavily pregnant with child number 3, who's now 8, and that was the end. There were no jobs in Leicester, there were no jobs near Leicester, and so I've never actually worked in a profession. I did work in a shop for 7 years, which I left my job this summer. But just about 7 years ago this week, I launched my business, Chocoholic, at the Queen's Road Christmas Fair, and I've really never looked back. It took a number of years for the business to grow. So the first 3 years or so were really more about raising children and working part-time in my job, and supplying the odd cafe here and there, doing a few fairs and events. Around the time that my marriage ended, which was about 5 years ago, somehow things just naturally took a leap. I was very lucky. I managed to make things work. Shortly after that, my youngest child started school. Things have only grown since, really. And then this summer, I finally felt that I was in a position to leave my job and just go for it. I think what happened was I looked at my P60 and I thought, I have that in the bank. I can afford to do this for a year. It's been 5 months and we're still eating, so I assume everything's fine. If anything, we won't ever have a lack of cake. I supply 8 cafes across Leicester, and what makes the business so niche is that I do all my deliveries on my bicycle, which is over there. So if you've ever seen that bike with these obnoxiously covered panniers and a tub on the back, that will be cake going to a cafe near you. What I have found in reference to that line about working as if you don't have children is that I feel that with self-employment, I really have it all. I know so many women in particular, and that's what I want to talk about, who really struggle with employment and child rearing. And I feel that this is the best way to take care of my children and have an income that is as good as or better than something that I might earn in a menial job. I've done data entry for minimum wage. It was mind-numbing, but I had no choice. I had to do it at the time because nobody would hire a heavily pregnant woman. But I feel that I can take care of my children. I have 2 teenage boys who tell me everything, and it doesn't matter that I'm working because I'm working in the kitchen where they can see me. They can come to the doorway and talk to me about drugs and alcohol and peer pressure and sex and everything, really. I've got a small child with a disability, and I feel that this is the best way that I can be there for him. There have been times when he has been in school full-time, which is now. There have been times when he has hardly been in school at all because of fixed-term exclusions. or an inability to cope. He was diagnosed with autism about a year and a half ago, and despite the fact that it's illegal to exclude him from school, it has happened. There are times when I'm called and told that I need to come and pick him up halfway through the day because the staff can't cope anymore. And I'm in a position to do that because of what I do for a living. So I can't say that my life is easy, but I feel like the lifestyle that I have enables me to do all of the things that I want. I work very, very flexible hours. I have time for voluntary work, which I absolutely love. And the most important thing is I'm around for my children. I know that a lot of women really, really struggle in the workplace. I don't have to tell you how hard it is for us in the workforce, how we don't have equal pay, we don't have equal opportunities. And one of the things that really makes it a struggle for a woman to be in the workforce is that feeling of being torn between being out earning money and taking care of our children. If you are lucky enough to have a career when you have children, then it doesn't matter that you spend the first few years basically paying the nursery fees, because the long-term goal is promotion and advancement, and you can have that, and I know women who do have it. They feel like they're losing out with their children, but they do have a career. But if you choose to go back to work when your children are small, you either retrain as a teacher or teaching assistant so that your hours match your children's hours and your school holidays or your children's school holidays. It was nothing that ever really appealed to me, sorry. I think 3 kids at home is enough. Or you end up working in a menial job like data entry or as a cashier in a grocery store. It's just really, it's really hard to feel that you're doing anything productive. I know many, many women who are self-employed, and I guess this is where the diversity bit comes in. We come from different ethnic groups, we come from different religions and cultural backgrounds. Some of us have a disability ourselves, some of us are caring for parents or siblings or children with disabilities. But what unifies us is that we make this work. We use the self-employment to our advantage. We can work around these obstacles, if it's social constraints or religious constraints or time constraints, ability constraints. And really, in some ways, there has never been a better time to be self-employed. So from the little bit of research that I've done, there are different bodies that can offer advice and support when you are looking to start up. And one of them is, there's a Startup Britain, which gives you, I guess, before you're actually running your business, they do mentoring and advice. There are other bodies that can help with loans and funding and support just in terms of the legality of starting a business and the tax implications, if you like, the bureaucracy and paperwork. So the support is there in Leicester. There is a lot of support in Leicester for starting a business. I never actually turned to any of these places for support because really I took about 20 pounds and bought a couple of new baking tins. That was the initial investment. My kitchen is probably a little bit bigger than this rug, and I bake professionally out of it. I never built anything or added anything. I never hired premises. My dream is a cafe. I really don't see how that's ever going to happen because it's such a huge leap from where I am to where that is, but you never know. But one of the things that makes it really, really difficult for people in my position to enjoy the life that we've built for ourselves, there are some huge obstacles. So one of them is HMRC. I don't know, is anybody here self-employed? No? Okay. Have been, right. Anybody here who receives tax credits, if you get your letter, your annual forms, and there's a red line running through it, what it means is that your income changes from year to year, it fluctuates, and you are more likely to be, I guess, vetted by them. So about 3 years ago, heading into November, this is kind of like my busiest period of the year because I had all kinds of fairs and events and more orders for Christmas. I got a letter from HMRC telling me that they needed me to prove that I was doing all I could to advance my business and earn enough so that to prove that I wasn't hiding behind like a phony business and claiming benefits on the basis of of a phony business. In other words, I needed to supply them with evidence that I was doing all I could to promote myself, to promote my business. They wanted orders, they wanted receipts, they wanted invoices, they wanted copies of my business cards, leaflets, screenshots. And then I had to write to them and tell them that I couldn't actually prove to them that I was a capitalist pig because I was too busy trying to earn money during my business period to take the time to start proving to them that I really was trying to earn the money. And then, I'm very sorry, you're going to have to wait until January when this is over. So I did that. I wrote a 7-page letter in which I explained how I run my business, and I included screenshots and business cards and leaflets and all kinds of promotional materials, and they did not bother to read the letter, and they wrote back to me saying that they were cutting all my benefits because I clearly do not meet their, their expectations, and that was it. Obviously, I appealed, and then they gave me a lump sum retroactively. But not everybody can do that. Not everybody is savvy. Not everybody has English as a first language. Not everybody has the confidence or even the sheer ability to do that. I know many, many women who really struggled to fight the decision. And although this was 3 years ago and this is past, I don't have to tell you what a disaster universal credit has been. We've all read the news. We've all seen how many people have died under universal credit. Universal credit is expected to come to Leicester next summer. And I have to say, I feel like I've been living the life of Riley. The idea that this could all come to an end for me is just devastating. What universal credit, what DWP have in mind is that if you are self-employed, you will have to show that you are gainfully self-employed. And if you don't have tech savvy to do that, if you don't have the confidence at the interview, because we will all be interviewed at the job center to prove that we are gainfully self-employed, they will force us to join their job search, to put us into employment. Assuming we pass the initial interview, we have to submit monthly reports showing invoices, receipts, expenses, promotional material. I don't know about everybody else. I don't have my accounts done quite as I get my taxes filed in time, but I kind of do the admin part when I can. Anybody who isn't able to do that is just screwed. And any kind of fluctuation in income from month to month, which I know, I've got slow months and I've got better months, that will affect universal credit, aside from the fact that I'm probably losing about 2/3 of my benefits. With a son who has a disability, I can't tell you how devastating that is for us. We will manage, we will make it work. Everything we buy is secondhand, and I'm vegan, so rentals are cheap. But I can't even begin to tell you what it must be like for somebody who does not have English as a first language, or has any kind of disability, or is caring for somebody with a disability. And this is something that all of us women in self-employment face, especially single women, especially when your other half is a breadwinner, and I don't have that. It's not a fun position to be in. And I can't really offer any solutions because there's just a huge gap between the support that Leicester offers in terms of helping people and supporting them in their self-employment, and in this determination to just shut it down. It's a sad state of things. I remain eternally optimistic. I live moment to moment. I guess that's it. Thank you.